All right guys, welcome back to the channel. Please again, like and subscribe, helps our algorithm out, helps that YouTube algorithm. But getting into the story today, like you've seen in the title, we saved an $80,000 deal by just researching and re-looking on how we can solve a problem with the seller. So let me explain. A seller called us probably back in, I was in Rome, Italy at this time, so it had to be end of September. Middle to end of September and 2021. He called us and he called us from a TV ad. He saw me on TV, called up, and he came to us and was like, hey Gino, or to acquisition managers, I never talked to him directly during negotiation. I got an offer for $230 from Opendoor on this deal, but they want me to clean everything out of my house, and they're closing quick, but again, they want me to clean everything out and I don't want to do that. So luckily he found us on TV. And we told him we could close everything. What would you be willing to do? He went down to 170, and I know it sounds fake, like they just told you this, but he showed us the Opendoor offer. And he came down to us for 170 just because we gave him that speed and convenience. And sorry if you hear my phone going off, but our speed and convenience, right, of doing that. You're like, what the, he gave up 60 grand for that? He told us that price. Funny story though, he told us 170 to our lead manager. Our lead manager immediately set that appointment up. Let's say it's a Tuesday. Lead manager talked to him on Tuesday at 12, set it up for acquisitions at like 3. Acquisition manager calls him. Someone coming? We're waiting for our check over here at the closing right now. So our acquisition manager calls him. He's drunk. This guy, and little do we find this, there's a big story to this, but he's hammered at 3 o'clock. And Stelly, our acquisition manager, offers him the 170, so we can do that. He yells at Adam Stelly, and yells at him and says, that's a lowball offer, I will never take that. When he just told our lead manager, 3 hours before at 12 that he would take 170. And so he yelled at him, he's like, I'll never do that, and hangs up on him. We're like, okay. We didn't think it was a deal because he, again, told us that, heck no, right? I was like, Adam, follow up with him because something's going on here. We call him the next day at like 10 o'clock, and he's like, talks to Adam, our acquisition manager, is like, hey, by the way, someone lowballed me yesterday, from some other company, so don't do that. And Adam's like, oh, what did they offer you? And he's like, well, I don't remember, but I just remember they lowballed me. And then Adam's like, okay, well, what were you hoping for from us? He's like, 170. So he even forgot that he spoke to Adam. He was that drunk, and he forgot what even price Adam gave him. Like, he wanted 170, but I think he was just so drunk that time, the day before, that he's just like, heck no, it's a low ball. So anyway, we get it under contract at 170. Now here's the tricky part of this whole thing. Who was on the deed, who he told us once we signed, was his dead boyfriend, right? His boyfriend he lived with for 40 years, died in August, right? This is mid-September, died in August of that year. Now, he told us that he had some trust, but he didn't explain it. And I was like, hey, if you have a trust of the house, who's the beneficiary of it? And he couldn't understand it. All right, I'm gonna go like this right here. I'll shut my phone off for you guys. But he said, who's the beneficiary? He didn't understand. And Stelly wasn't trained enough. I didn't train him enough on understanding what these things mean. So I was like, Stelly, just ignore the deal because he doesn't even have the beneficiary of this trust to do this. Like, he can't do anything. Like, we have to go through probate. And we told him that. Well, we didn't do as much research as possible on it. We didn't educate as much on it as possible. And he got pissed off because we said go through probate. He's like, I don't have to do that. I'm not working with you guys. Anyway, I look over more carefully and I listen to the call. Well, he didn't say he had a land trust and he didn't know he was the beneficiary. He said he had a living trust, right? Revocable trust for his boyfriend. So there doesn't need to be any probate involved. And so I caught that on listening to the call. So by listening to that call, I was able to catch really what he said. Adam didn't know how to communicate it, and it's our fault for not teaching Adam. Acquisition manager had to explain it to us. So I listened to the call. I immediately called him back and said, hey, we can do this deal if you have all this paperwork. He says, I do. We lock it up. Again, this is mid-September. This is all within like 2 or 3 days. He's like, oh, I thought you guys were gonna bail him and your attorneys are garbage. Why would they tell you that? I was like, yeah. Excuse me, I said, yeah, let's screw those attorneys. They don't know what they're saying. Again, blamed it on them. I said, let's go with these attorneys. So I just changed the attorney on the office, or on the agreement. He made him feel a lot better. He's like, I don't want to work with your other attorneys because they told me I couldn't do it and it pissed me off. Or this. He was like all mad, right? So we changed it to another attorney. Oh my gosh, man, this was a pain deal, man. This was a headache. Oh, they're coming. Hold on. So anyway, why this was a pain, sorry they came in and gave us some documents, is because we went to get the payoff, right? We were ready to close. We immediately sent this to a buyer since we had it under contract. We got it for 183, and we immediately had a buyer at 285. So we're gonna make 100K on this deal. Well, what happens, they run the title, the mortgage, right? The title is good. They accept the revocable trust or the living trust. Everything is good, but the mortgage was in the dead boyfriend's mother's name. So not only was the mother dead of the dead boy or the boyfriend, but the boyfriend now has passed away. And then there's our buddy Ron, that's the boy, you know, so there's two people that has to go through that have passed away that needs to get clearance. And so it took freaking six weeks for them to prove all the documents that Ron gave them. Anyway, fast forward, we didn't close until November 15th. And this, like, really the title and everything started like the end of September. It took a month and a half to even get us closed with the seller because of all the pains and all the going through those dead deceased people's mortgages and payoffs and all this stuff. So finally we got the payoff like a week or two ago. Right now it's November 23rd. We finally got the payoff like 10 days ago, right? And so that buyer in the meantime, though, like it was at 285, went back and inspected the property and said they had to come down to 270. We were still happy, you know, we're still making 80 something, or I think it's exactly around like 79 after all fees and commissions. So about 79,000. So we accepted that, finally closed. The worst part about it too is that my private lender was ready to close this October 10th, October 15th was the original closing date. Well, he had his money already wired. I had all my money wired. Then like 3 days before closing, we figured out that the payoffs couldn't get figured out. And so again, that was October 15th. We closed a month later, November 15th. And the reason it was bad is because my private lender, God bless him, he kept his money in the account. Like we had it wired to the attorney's office on October 15th. He kept it for a month. And luckily I have a good relationship with him. He didn't charge me any interest, right? So he had it in their escrow account with the attorneys from October 15th to really November 15th around. So God bless him. But anyway, it was this is a crazy story. You know, buyers did come down, but we did sell it today. So finally, it's November 24th now. This started probably September 15th. I mean, it was over, you know, a 2-month process plus, but we made this money. And this is the big tip I want to put on this is when you get title issues, educate yourself, because I could fall victim to that as well. There's title problems, especially if it's a big deal, right? If it's a $2 or $3 grand deal, you're wasting time. Your energy is worth more than that, but you're talking about 30 grand deals, 25 grand, whatever you measure your time at, you need to invest in yourself and your team. I invested in our TC Grow, transaction coordinator. That's job is to fix title problems. Me and her now have studied the process of this revocable trust, have studied the process of and let her know, like, hey, if there's any difficulties or stuff, we need to go in detail with an attorney and learn everything about how we can fix this. So next time it happens, we can be educated to go. Because if we didn't call, if I didn't listen back to that call and see that it was a living trust and didn't understand what a living trust is, which a lot of people on my team doesn't know because I didn't educate them, which is my fault, that deal would have been gone. That would have been 80K off the table. So it's very important to educate your team, educate yourself consistently. No one wants to learn. I don't think about learning about title work, but I should start doing a lot more in it, right? I don't learn. I look at how to do sales, closing calls, how to build a bigger business. No one talks about learning how to do title work and being a title abstractor and understanding the process. But guess what? That just saved us 80 grand, me recognizing one thing. I know very minimal, but recognizing the one thing that it could be closed. So I can only imagine how much other deals we've lost that we just said, hey, screw it, this is too much work, right? So I think it's very important for you guys to be serious about it, especially if it's a good deal, you know it is, with that title work and learning that process. So in the future, not only will it help on this deal, but now it saved this deal, it'll save many more. So again, guys, please, if you got value from that, like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, share this with your friends. I'm trying to grow this community as much as possible. Join our free Facebook group, the link's down below. And any questions you guys have, you can reach out to me under the comment box or on my Instagram. So thanks for watching, and let's get this money.